Tesla wants to come to India again, but this time they're willing to set up a factory, which wasn't the case last time they tried to enter the country. And according to Reuters, they actually had meetings with Indian government officials, and they told them that they want to set up a factory in India to build electric cars for domestic sale and export out of India. So the problem that Tesla faced when they tried to enter the Indian market some time ago is that they just wanted to dip their toes in the Indian market. They didn't want to set up a factory. That would be a huge investment. And so the plan was to import vehicles from other countries where Tesla does have factories, most likely China, realistically, and the government of India wasn't having it. To make the import of these EVs viable for Tesla, they actually asked the government of India to lower import tax for their vehicles. Normally, import tax ranges from between 60 and 100%. So the base cost of a Tesla might be somewhere around 30 lakh rupees, but Indians would end up having to pay anywhere between 48 and 60 lakh rupees for that same vehicle. So they ended up going back and forth for some time. Tesla was being stubborn with Elon Musk, of course, at the helm, and the government of India also wasn't budging. They said either set up a factory or you got to pay the import tax. And so Elon Musk said that we will not put a manufacturing plant in any location where we are not allowed to first sell and service cars. Basically, this was Elon's way of saying that we want preferential treatment or we're not going to enter the Indian market. And the government of India said, okay, that's fine. We'll just wait for you guys to change your mind. And now it actually does, in fact, look like Tesla is changing their mind. And this could be because Elon is so busy over at Twitter that he doesn't have time to hold a grudge against the government of India for not giving in to Tesla. And just to be clear here, Tesla is missing out. The growth that we've seen in the EV segment here in India over the last 2 years is tremendous. And I think that the success of brands like Tata, MG, and BYD, especially the growth that they saw in FY23, has caused Tesla to realize that they're missing out with each passing year, that this battle is only going to get more difficult for them the longer they wait to enter the Indian market. Now, I should note here that we don't know how much Tesla is looking to invest in building this factory, and we also don't know where the factory would be located in the country, but they did meet with officials from the Prime Minister's office to discuss local sourcing of parts and other issues. All right, next up, it looks like Swiggy is finally profitable, which is big news for them and for the food delivery space as a whole. So here's an excerpt from their blog post where they said that as of March of 2023, Swiggy's food delivery business has turned profitable after factoring in all corporate costs except ESOPs. Swiggy has become one of the very few global food delivery platforms to achieve profitability in less than 9 years. Now all Swiggy needs to do is get on ONDC to become fully future-proof. Being profitable is one step in that direction and a huge milestone at that. But the way that the government of India is talking about ONDC, I think it's important for Swiggy to look at somehow, even if it's just in a limited capacity, investing in building on ONDC the way that Zomato has. They invested in Magic Pin, and Dipender Goyal is also sitting on the board of that company now. So Swiggy should think about doing something similar. All right, next up, let's talk about ZestMoney's founders jumping ship. This is truly a titanic moment. The ship is going down and they are leaping off of it at the last moment. This company was last valued at $445 million. And I can't imagine that their valuation, their real world valuation, is anything close to that at the moment. Talking about her and her co-founders' resignations, Lizzie Chapman said that we have immense belief and faith in the potential that ZestMoney has. We will also ensure to provide full support to the incoming management team and do everything we can to support them for the next 4 months to ensure a smooth transition. Then we also have an update from Aditi Srivastava, co-founder of The Arc. It seems like she had an interview with the folks over at Zest, and she said, Zest has $8 million in the bank and plans to hit profitability in the second half of this year. They will shut down their insurance business and affiliate programs and shift focus towards lending and EMI. They also claim that non-performing assets are under 2%. All right, next up, just a quick update on a friend of the channel, Gagandeep Rihal. He came on and talked about his startup, -0, on a podcast some time ago. If you want to check that out, you can find it in the top right corner of your screen. But they're actually going to be unveiling something to do with their self-driving or driverless technology. It might be a vehicle. I'm not exactly sure what this is, but on June 4th, we're going to know a little bit more. So I just wanted to put that in front of you guys. Now, let's move on and talk about the situation. There's been a tiny little update between BharatPe versus Ashneer Grover. Things seem to be devolving with that case. So the Delhi High Court actually told BharatPe and Ashneer Grover to stop using unparliamentary and defamatory language against each other. So in other words, they're saying shut up, guys. During the course of a recent hearing for the case, Justice Pratik Jalan expressed his displeasure at the kind of language being used by both parties. If you have both decided to enter the gutter, then please remain there, the bench remarked. What a mess. Anyways, let's move on to some funding news now. $113 million raised across India's entire startup ecosystem this week, and that's a bit of a dip from last week. Here's what it looks like in context. You can see that things were going up, and then now this week things have gone back down. But now let's take a look at some of these deals. So Agilitas was the leader here, $52 million raised for their seed round for a startup that, from what I can see, doesn't even have a website yet. So this was actually started by Puma, India's head. He's now leaving the company, he's leaving Puma and basically setting up a competing brand, which is pretty wild. So he basically learned everything that he could on Puma's dime, figured out the market, manufacturers, industry inside information, and then now he's turning around and setting up a competitor. Then you've also got Bounce raising their Series E round, and of course, they've been around for a while. That's why they've gotten to the point where they're raising a Series E. They used to be into scooter sharing. Then they pivoted into EVs with their Bounce Infinity, and now they're planning on going public in the next couple of years. Then we also have Wicked Good. They raised $272,000 from Shilpa Shetty. This was a Shark Tank India startup, and they're basically a healthy D2C snack brand. And, if you guys are looking to sponsor a YouTube channel, then you know who to contact. We would be happy to test out your snacks purely for marketing and promotional purposes, of course. No other reason than that. Anyways, if you guys want to learn more about any of the funding news that I've mentioned, then you can find a link to our Notion in the description down below, as well as a link to the tweet. I recently tweeted this out. I was asking about customer centricity, and I wanted to know, because we're thinking about making a video about the top 10 customer-centric startups, which are the startups that you guys feel are most customer-centric. I feel like lately, with the funding winter that we're in, a lot of Indian startups have stopped being as customer-centric as they used to be. Cutting costs basically means that there's an inferior customer experience for most of these companies. So I wanted to know from you guys, who are the companies that are actually doing a superior, better than average job with their customer support and the customer experience as a whole? Let me know on Twitter, and I'll see you guys in the next one.